The Originals, episode 7, Bloodletting. This episode was pretty good. One of my favorite things about it is the fact that, towards the second half, Klaus is really off the deep end. He bites his brother, he bites Elijah. He's, really worried about Marcel, plotting against him. He kind of threatens Rebecca as he typically does. But I love that ending where he's kind of freaking out. Elijah, who's generally always through the Vampire Diaries and this show, so far has always said, no matter what Klaus or Rebecca might do, I always have hope, and especially in Klaus's case, I always have hope that you know he will do something that will redeem him and make him a good person. Because every time I'm about to give up hope, there's always that glimmer of light that says he has some redeeming quality that's gonna just come out of him in some way. And in this episode, which we get Tyler, which was really cool, he kind of feels like he can't trust Klaus anymore, and he just instantly turns on him. And Klaus feels like he's just out on his own now because Tyler, who come back from the Vampire Diaries, which I can't remember if I mentioned that last week, but in the Vampire Diaries, he mentioned he was gonna get revenge, so it was really obvious that once he left, which I believe was, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, he left the Vampire Diaries, and so he came right over to the Originals, and it was cool that it was so soon. So I really enjoyed that. But he comes over, he's trying to get revenge. He's been living a life just running and dealing with the fact that Klaus killed his mom, and so he's talking to Haley, and he reveals the fact that the baby can make more hybrids. And he says, the only reason Klaus would care about the baby is because it can do that. And once Haley tells Elijah, those type of things just make sense because of who Klaus is. And once they figure that out, or once they decide, that must be it, Klaus is just like off on his own. And it's clear that he didn't know that. But, he's like, well, obviously you guys just, took Tyler's word for it. And, I'm just screwed here because I'm, the manipulator, the killer, this and that. And then he says, I'll just play the role I've been given. And, when he bites Elijah, the first thing I thought was, that could kill him. And then Elijah says it can't. But if you guys saw the preview, and if you didn't, it's going to be an amazing episode, I believe, November 26th. But Elijah does end up getting sick, which at the same time, while he's an original, it makes sense that he wouldn't. It also makes sense that he would because they're both originals, so I don't see why, a hybrid bite from an original, to a regular vampire original wouldn't affect him. So we'll have to see how that plays out, but I'm sure it'll, work out in the end where Haley will tell somebody like, hey, if you guys don't let Klaus go, Elijah will die. So hopefully I know it'll work out, but hopefully it'll be, you know, really good. But for this episode, I really loved it. I love seeing Klaus, like I said at the end of the episode, kind of on the deep end, freaking out about everything. And then, Rebecca tries to basically say, you have nothing to worry about. You can pretty much make things up with Elijah, and Marcel isn't plotting against you. He just thinks you're kind of in a fight. And she does that because she teams up with Marcel, which is really interesting. But, with all the different things Marcel said to her, it makes perfect sense. I mean, they both love each other. She talks about how she wouldn't team up. Like, the first thing she says when he wants to team up with her is that, he's like, she says, Klaus would kill you in front of me. And that's pretty much her first reasoning. It's not that they couldn't beat Klaus or that she doesn't want to do it. It's that he would, Klaus would just kill Marcel if that became the case. So it was really interesting to see them sort of, I guess, kind of work things out, and they decide they do really love each other. And hopefully, I guess Marcel does actually care about Rebecca because, if you watch the Vampire Diaries, and even in this show, they mention how she constantly kind of falls for guys, and then that's always her downfall. But generally speaking, it's her downfall mostly because Klaus comes in and, like, throws somebody over a balcony or kills them, like ripping their heart out or ripping their head off or something crazy. That's generally why it's her downfall. But they decide to team up together. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But Marcel's just getting, more and more companions because, of course, he figures out, Klaus is a spy, and he has Davina wipe his memory, and so now I think he's gonna be a more prominent character since Davina didn't actually erase his memory of her, so they kind of bonded. So it'd be cool to see, how that kind of plays into him becoming a prominent character, and also what he decides to really do after basically having his head cleared of everything Klaus said to him, so he can be a spy for Marcel now instead of for Klaus. So we'll have to see where his loyalties really lie, and we kind of have to see if he'll follow more Davina, since she's right in the middle now because of what Klaus saving the boy she liked, and also because of Elijah helping her out. So she might be more on their side compared to Marcel. But we'll have to see, where she stands, and then where the vampire stands because of her. So that'll be cool to see. And then of course Tyler decides, since he wasn't killed off in this episode, which was really good, he decides to go to Marcel and tells him, if this baby's born, it will make more hybrids. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But I think Tyler will be more in the background because I feel like if Tyler's working with Marcel and he's just out in the open, Klaus won't really take the time to do all the manipulation and stuff anymore. He'll just take them all out because they'll know his plan, or they'll know what he's capable of. Which based off of the preview, they do exactly what you think they do, which is try to take Klaus down. So I think Tyler might be more in the background, but he's not dead, which is nice. So we will get to see him in future episodes. And it was good how they did it, where with his whole life being based off of fear and surviving because of, he's on the run from Klaus. Klaus being the villain he is, he realizes you surviving is much worse than you dying, and so he lets Tyler go. He just lets him live, even though he could easily just rip his heart right out. He decides, I'm gonna let you live and suffer rather than kill you and let you go peacefully. So that was a great scene too, because that's what a good villain does. Even when they can kill you, when they see you living is actually worse than you dying, they let you live. So that was a cool thing for Klaus to do because he's that type of villain. But an amazing episode overall, and of course we got to see with Tyler's theory about the baby being able to make hybrids. People who are turned into hybrids because of the baby are sired to the baby, but for now it would be to Haley since she's the one pregnant, and it could be to Haley herself, even though Tyler did take the blood from her stomach, so I would assume it came out of the baby. But they talk about how the baby healed her and stuff like that. That kind of means that Haley is a hybrid, which now that I think about it, finally explains to me how she wouldn't turn during a full moon. But I'm still super confused as to whether or not a full moon's passed and stuff, because they don't really talk about it at all. But I believe she might technically be a hybrid at this point, or at least sort of a lesser form of it, because she can't heal like as fast, I guess. But I think at this point she's kind of sort of a hybrid, like in between a werewolf and a hybrid. So she's like right in the middle there, but her baby, obviously being a hybrid, can have people, or vampires or werewolves sired to them, or sired to it, I mean. So if any more hybrids are created, if Klaus decides, now that I know this is a thing, I'm gonna try to go off and find more werewolves and stuff like that, he can have this baby sire all of these different people, but he'd have to worry about whether or not the baby would follow him, which kind of leads back to him being off, going off the deep end, and detaching from his entire family in this episode. So we'll have to see how that plays out now that pretty much everyone knows that revelation. So it'll be great to see how things play out. But based on the preview, it's going to be an amazing episode where everyone's kind of going up against Klaus. He does end up captured. We get to see that. Hopefully that doesn't spoil things too much for anybody who might have missed the preview, but it's in the preview, so I can say it. Elijah does end up sick, like I mentioned. I have to see how that plays out, and then everything else that they don't show is because, I'm sure one of the biggest things is going to be what Klaus and Rebecca say to each other, because she obviously says in this episode, she mentions how she's on his side at the end when he's kind of freaking out and stuff. She says, he says, you'd stay because you're family, and she doesn't say anything. So it'll be interesting to see what she ends up, how they end up confronting each other once they have like this really big battle. But I'm excited for the next episode. Love this one. I thought it was great. Led to some pretty interesting stuff. Like I said, once again, I think in the last maybe 3 or 4 episodes, it's just been like one big revelation after another, where someone finds out something big or does something crazy that leads to something else insane. So each episode is just ramping up, and like I said, based on the preview, it's gonna be a great episode. But for now, comment below. Let me know what you thought of this one. Favorite parts, least favorite parts. Are you glad Tyler's back? Because I'm sure most people are. And also, what do you think they're gonna do now that we find out, Haley's heritage? I guess we found out, someone left the Bible there with all her family names and stuff, and her name's Andrea, or Andrea, I guess, depends on how you want to say it, but Andrea, I'll say. What do you think that's gonna lead to? So comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.